Thank you, dear students. I'm teacher Fidel. This is your rainbow class. It has been a while. We are back again, as usual. We bring you a very important lesson today, very good lesson today. You see, periods of African literature or African literary traditional. We already introduced to you what we call what is literary traditional. What is literary traditional? Okay. In summary, we have seen that literary traditional refers to some features or characteristics which define the literature of a group of people at certain periods of time. So this is what we have seen. Okay. And then, for sure, also we have seen the other important key term. These are terms most of the times they are set in national exams. Dear students, you have now to be careful for these key terms because they are very important terms you have to know. We have seen that African literature, it is a literature that shows responsiveness to issues of concern of African people, or their literature that written in the context of African culture about African people's life. And then you have seen that literature differ from continent to the other continent. The reason why you have African literature, the reason why you have European literature, the reason why you have Asian literature, and also we have American literature. So this kind of then African literature or literary traditional is divided into three main periods. Period number one is you can see here now is pre-colonial, okay, and the second one is the colonial, and the last, not least, is post-colonial. But today, our main concern, dear student, our main concern is the pre-colonial African literature. What is the pre-colonial African literature? Now you can see, dear student, it is a literature before colonization, before coming of white people in Africa. So this just literature, it was the oral literature, it was a spoken literature, whereby it was unwritten literature. So they used this literature, passed one generation to the other generation through memory. People memorized, okay, and then through generation by generation, they told one generation to the other generation by using math. And dear student, for this kind of literature, we have examples of this kind of literature we have called the pre-colonial literature or before colonial literature Africa. This is folk tales, okay, you can check here now folk tales. We have also myths. Remember, these myths, they are stories of creation, okay? They are stories of creation. And apart from that, we have regions. Regions, these are stories of extraordinary people who have done extraordinary actions for society. Also, we have epics, dear student, we shall see more epics. We have animal stories, like ogre stories, like Mr. Hare stories. We have also songs, we have poems, or spoken poems, we have proverbs, we have riddles, we have tongue twisters. Those are examples of literature in pre-colonial Africa. So, dear student, also we say that we have epics. Okay, we have epics, African epics. Maybe down there we are going to have examples of epics, most of known, okay, popular epics. And then, for example, we shall see the epic of Mwindo, okay, epic of Mwindo. We shall see epic of Sundiata, okay. In Rwanda, We have Obwiru. These Obwiru are praise poetry. But also in Rwanda, as an example, we shall read a myth of Kigwa. This is the myth of Rwanda, how Rwanda expanded from a small area to a big country like Rwanda. And then, as you can see, we have example of epics, Epic of Sundiata. We have also Epic of Chakazuru in South Africa. We also, dear student, not only that, but also we have to ask ourselves, does the oral literature disappear from now? The answer is no, because we have still surviving oral literature in Rwanda, for example, or in Africa. So let's now see. When you see the performances of oral tales, we can see performing them on radio, television, and even in films. Okay, even you have songs, okay, ancient songs and dances. Also, they are oral literature that still survives. Okay, and then we have also storytelling, okay, in a school and performances, whereby they memorize a story and come and tell us their stories arrive. Okay, this shows that the oral literature still exists. Okay, and then dear student, allow me to tell you that this pre-colonial literature, it is very important because oral literature serves as means of preserving. We preserve our history, our teaching moral values, okay, our community cohesion through oral literature. So oral literature is rich, and we preserve our history, our values, our community cohesion through oral literature. Dear student, allow me a little bit to show you the characteristics of pre-colonial literature, the same as the themes they focused on, okay, in those oral literature examples we come to see. For example, one of the characteristics is storytelling. Storytelling is one of the characteristics, most of the characteristics of the pre-colonial literature or oral literature. We have also oral history, we have songs, I told you, we have poetry, we memorize the poetry, we have use of metaphor, use of symbolism and the rhythm in those myths, in those legends, in those songs and proverbs. Dear student, also when they narrate their storytelling, the community should participate in storytelling. We shall see how they participate. They participate in the part which called the chorus. Also, dear student, the themes, okay, don't forget the themes based on this period. Their cultural identity, creation of myths, okay. We have ancestry, and you have moral values. Those are themes they focused on in this kind of in this period. So, dear student, thank you very much for this lesson. This is the end of the first period, which is called the pre-colonial period of Africa, or pre-colonial African literature. So without stopping, without delaying, allow me to go to the second period. Second period is called the colonial period. This is during the colonization. Okay, during the colonization, whereby white men, okay, dominated Africa, and most of them ruled Africa. Okay, so this kind of period is often associated with the literacy. Now you remember before colonization, there was no literacy. There was no reading and writing. But this kind of colonial period, African literature, it is where writing and reading started. It means they started schools, official schools, whereby students went to school and they learned how to write, okay, how to write and read, okay. This with the increase of literacy African during the colonial period, of course, we have so many literacies, okay, and many writers emerged on the continent. We have famous writers that emerged during this period. The first and foremost is Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe, who is the father of African literature, the famous one, okay? We have Wole Soyinka, we have Sembène Ousmane, we have Spian Ekwensi, we have Ngugi wa Thiong'o, we have Okoto Biteke, we have Ferdinand Oyon and Amos Tutuwala. All those are emerged writers, famous writers that appeared on the continent during this period. What did their content? What did they write about? Okay, allow me to go to the characters of this period. Number one, the text reacted against colonial oppression and expressed African nationalism. It means their writings, the message in their writings was to reject, okay, to be against colonial oppression, and to raise for nationalism. Okay, there was nationalism and just against the colonial oppression. That was their content. Okay, and we look at the text is sought to praise and glorify African past. Also in their novels and their stories and their whatever, they used to show how they long for African culture. Because you remember when white people came in Africa, what they did is to destroy our culture, okay? And to bring their culture instead of us, okay? They say ours, we have no culture, we are people of nothing, but really, we had a very good culture and ritual. So the text they wrote during this colonial period, okay, the content was just to remember how they long for their past, how they long their past life, their past culture. Also, number three, the text depicted the clash between African culture and Western Europe and Western culture. It means this shows that, okay, shows that white people came and imposed their culture to Africans, okay, and they make our culture disappear, okay, and to follow their own culture. So this text depicted the clash, okay, the conflict was based on the cultures. It means European culture and African culture. Number four, text expressed the optimism of African future. Also, the text shows that Africa has no future because white people came and just destroy everything, our hope, psychologically, even materials, okay, physically and psychologically, okay. So they didn't colonize even like that, but psychologically and physically, because physically they just they took our materials, they took our property, our richness, okay, and just took them to their countries, okay. And then number five, statistically, the text incorporate African forms of expression, okay. Most of the novels, most of the short stories, they use this oral literature features like songs, like proverbs. All those are features in, of course, in oral literature. So, dear student, allow me to show the most of the novels which are classified in colonial periods. The first novel ever is Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart is a novel by Chinua Achebe. Okay, this novel is just wrote by Nigerian Chinua Achebe, showing before white men and then during white men and the consequences of colonization to African people. The same as the river between Baingoji wa Thiongo. The same as the trial of Dani Kimathi by Michele Mugo and Nguja. You have it here now. Okay? We have No Longer Tears by Chinua Achebe. And you have Song of Oko, Song of Lawino, and Song of Oko by Okoto Biteke. These are novels. Okay? These are novels that are classified, okay, in this kind of period. This called the colonial period. Dear student, let me first go to the third one, okay, the third period of African literature. We have post-colonial. As I told you before, you remember where that this, when we say the post-colonial, we mean after. Post means after. Post means after, okay? And then here, they say that after the end of colonization in Africa, you have seen that many writers continue to write, okay? They didn't stop writing. And they wrote what? They wrote issues that concern the continent as usual. The most of them here we have, okay? The most of them here we have Chinua Achebe. Okay? Chinua Achebe is a good reference, and Ngozi was the same as Francis Mbuga, Ngugi and Francis Mbuga. For Chinua Achebe, we see a man of the people, okay? And we see civil people. Also, it is another story about Chinua Achebe. We have Between the City by Francis Mbuga. We have Aminata. We have I Will Remain When I Want. This is Ngugi wa Thiong'o. Beautiful One Not Yet Born. This is Ekwensi. So we have a number of books, number of novels, number of stories written after independence. Because after independence, it seems that African continent had many problems than it used to be. So then, what are the themes, most the clear themes they wrote about? Okay, they wrote about, okay, disillusionment with African countries and leadership. They wrote about betrayal, okay. They wrote about corruption. They wrote about education. They wrote about war. They wrote about poverty. They wrote about dictatorship. So these are the problems that Africa had after independence. Okay? So, dear student, here you have a question, a simple question. They say with the oral evidences demonstrated that this novel was written just after independence. Whether a man of the people, civil peace, Between the City, Aminata, I Will Marry When I Want, Beautiful One Not Yet Born, all those novels was written after independence. But the evidence, dear student, is that the themes they wrote about is concerned about corruption, okay? Corruption, education, poverty, leadership, okay, alienation of culture, etc. Those are the evidences showing that all the novel have been written during or after independence. Dear student, thank you for today. I will bring you exercises, more practical exercises about this lesson. But this was a good revision. Please take care, carefully, and revise well, because we are just we are going to do exams, the second term exams. But this will show you a good revision, because when this prepare for the second term examination, they take all from the first term. So thank you very much for revising with me. I hope you keep in touch, Nurembo, press, and comment and share. and try yourself to learn where you are at any time. Thank you. I'm Teacher Fidel. See you next time.